Hey guys, welcome in. It is Brad with College SportsCast, and John and I are here with you tonight to do our Big Fuss show. You got to find out what that's all about. What's up, John?
What's up, man?
Another week 6 of our Big Fuss show here at College SportsCast. I can't believe that we are already at week 6 into the college football season. It is. It is definitely going by quick. That I agree. All right. Hopefully, my video play.
Now, baby, I'm not going to bed.
Am I still live?
You're still alive.
Okay.
Now, we lost him. Give it a few minutes. He'll be back. Just the way he always does, seems like. Give him a minute. Technical difficulties, everybody. Been having them for 2 or 3 weeks now, it seems like. You're going to have to stop with the videos, looks like.
I know. I told you every time I try to play the video anymore, it cuts me out, and I don't understand why.
Yeah.
Did it even play it at all?
Hey, John, can you go over there?
No, it didn't even come on.
It didn't even come on, did it?
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, I don't know. I can't get the videos to play. It wants to cut me out every time I do it anymore. But so, welcome to College Sportscast. This is the Big Fuss Show, week 6. And like I said, I got Hammonds with me tonight. And we are going to do a little bit of hot topics and some segments and debate stuff and try to have a little fun on all the happenings of college football. I do want to go ahead and announce that we are about a month away from college basketball kicking off.
Mm-hmm.
The first sounds of dribbles on the basketball floor won't be too long.
Won't be too long.
Actually, the end of this month, we will start hearing to see some exhibition games and stuff like that at the end of October. So, it's not long that we will add a little college basketball to our show and be doing football and basketball each week and covering both. So, Hammonds, I know you're excited about that, doing both.
Yeah, I love basketball just as good as football.
Yeah. So tonight we're going to start out with our opening hot topics. And the first one is top games to look forward to in week 6. Just give me kind of a quick little rundown of the top games you're looking forward to, Hammonds.
I'm looking forward to LSU at Missouri. You got Notre Dame going to Louisville. Both of them's Louisville's undefeated, not Notre Dame. They've lost one. They lost to Ohio State, but still a big game. You got Alabama going to College Station. And then you got the night game, which everybody's going to be looking forward to. Kentucky's going to the Hedges Saturday night, which this is a big test for Kentucky to see where they're at. I don't think This is the Georgia of the last couple years. They are not unbeatable. They are beatable. But Kentucky's just going to have to go down there and play their game. They can't just go down there and say, well, you know what, just because Georgia's not real good this year, we're going to go in here and we're going to blow them out. That ain't the way it works. Georgia still got talent on the offensive, decent side of the ball. The biggest thing with Georgia is stopping Brock Bowers. If you stop Brock Bowers, Kentucky wins this football game Saturday. But that's a big thing for Kentucky to do. So
That's going to be a lot.
It is. And Oklahoma, Texas, that's a big game. The Red River Shootout. I always love that game. There's quite a bit of games on this week that are interesting. The biggest thing to me this week was the point spreads. You had Kentucky that started out as 21, then it moved down to like 14.
I saw it when it first opened. I saw it one place. It was Georgia was 23.5.
Yeah, and then it moved down to
14.
Well, and then you got this other one. It's kind of mind-boggling. You got 19. I think it's 19.5. Florida over Vanderbilt. I don't even think they cover that.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see how bad Florida played last week? I get it.
Did, but Vanderbilt.
It's at the Swamp. I get it. It's Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
but
and I'm not so sure that Vanderbilt can hang with them. I mean, Florida.
I'm
Kentucky
not saying
made
that.
Florida look
I'm saying, do they even cover that spread though? Because they didn't even cover the spread against Charlotte. Is what I was getting at. Just some of these,
against Charlotte, they kicked a whole bunch of field goals.
Yeah, they got into the red zone, couldn't score. So,
yeah, that's kind of what happened against them. But
I will say I got a new number one this week.
Louisville and Notre. You have a new number one, like top team. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't. I haven't switched my Georgia. I mean, this is the week that Kentucky's playing Georgia. I'll be damned if I'm going to switch them this week. I promise you that's not happening. Not me. I can promise you that's not happening this week. Now, it may happen next week or the next week or something. I don't know. But I'm not doing that the week that we are lining up to play in Georgia. I'm just saying.
You're not getting your name put out there.
No, not this week. Not happening to me. So, I am looking forward. I think, the Notre Dame Louisville game should be a good game. Maryland and Ohio State is an interesting game. Maryland is still undefeated. Mm-hmm. And they are the 26th, the first team out in the AP poll this week. And
you know what's crazy to me is if LSU loses this game to Missouri, their season could go completely down the drain.
Well, I mean, absolutely.
After all the preseason hype that they had. And guess what? Yours truly was on.
We're going to dig a little deeper. We're going to dig a little deeper. I got a little topic on LSU. We're going to dig a little deeper in there.
And yours truly was on that hype train, and it fell off the tracks quick.
Yeah, we're definitely going to dig a little deeper on the LSU subject here as the show goes on. So some news. First thing I want to get to is Iowa QB Cade McNamara ACL is out for the season.
This is tough.
Yeah, man, I hate to hear this. Cade transferred in from Michigan. He was one of the good, and then he was one of the top QB transfers, I think. I mean, you had Leary and Hartman. Probably the top two, but Cade was right up there. And, Iowa's been been good. They won this past week, but he did get hurt in that game and was out. And they announced today that it was a torn ACL. He is out for the year. That is not good news for Iowa.
especially
Brian Frank.
Especially with their offense the way it is. They
Yeah.
At times they have trouble moving the football, and losing your star quarterback makes it even tougher.
Yeah, man. Brian Ferentz has got that 25-point gain guarantee thing, and 25 points a game and stuff. So, I don't know, man. This is going to be a tough blow, I believe, for Iowa. We'll see exactly what goes on the rest of the season here, but I just don't think that bodes too awful well for them. So I wanted to kind of talk about that. Coach Primetime is saying that Travis Hunter will likely miss the next 2 games as well, and will return after a bye week after that versus UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
who is their next 2 games? I think one of them's Arizona State, and
I think they've actually got a couple of winnable games, I believe.
I think without Travis Hunter for these 2, I think they could probably eke out a win.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that they definitely are going to win, but they've got some games that they possibly could win even without him. Mm-hmm. And then they get a bye week, and that would be I think the last week of October, mm-hmm. the UCLA game, because they got weeks and then a bye, and then the UCLA game. But, if they could find a way to win these 2 games and then get Hunter back versus UCLA and have, 4 more games to go.
Story.
Yeah. I mean, it could be. All right. Duke's QB Riley Leonard. I don't know if everybody was watching, but late Saturday night, it was one of the late primetime games that was on about the last play of the game. He got his ankle rolled on, and they're saying today that it's a high ankle sprain. They have not.
Sprain.
Yeah, I know. I spelled that wrong. It's all right.
Oh, I love giving you a hard way to go, man.
Yeah, it's all right. He's got a high ankle sprain, and they have not said whether or not how long, if he's going to be out or how long he might be out or whatever. But Duke would be in some trouble if Riley's out for a while.
I think I agree with that, but at the same time, Duke's defense has carried them as well. Mike Elko, he's a defensive-minded coach, and Sam Hartman in Notre Dame is a tough out, and he held them to only 21 points. So, and a chance to win the football game Saturday night. So, Duke's defense is going to keep them in games going down the stretch because they got a pretty good defense.
They do have a good defense, but I'm telling you, Riley Leonard just does everything for them on the offense side of the ball. I mean, he can pull down, he can run. I mean, he does everything for them on the offensive side of the ball.
Biggest thing with Duke, though, they got FSU and Louisville coming up, so they're going to have to, if he expects to get back, I don't see him winning those 2 without him at all. They're going to have him for those 2, which I'm not sure when they actually play, but he needs to be in those games because without him in those games, I just don't see them beating FSU.
Yeah, I mean, Duke's got a tough schedule. That was part of the reason why I had them a little bit further down than their their wins that they had last year, because they went 9-4 last year, and I had them 8-5 this time. But it wasn't because I didn't think that they would be a good team. It was just their schedule just wasn't. I thought their schedule was a whole lot harder. And if you lose Leonard here for say 2 or 3 weeks, that's going to be a tough go, I think, for Duke in this team, I believe. I mean, don't get me wrong, Elko's done a fantastic job. So I'm not saying that for sure that that they won't win, but I think it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it is.
All right. NC State, stay in the ACC. NC State is switching QBs.
I think they have to.
Yeah, Brennan Armstrong is out, and M.A. Morris is in for NC State.
I think you have to on this, because NC State was just not getting it done offensively with Armstrong. There was just too many 3-and-outs, too many issues going on at quarterback. I think maybe Morris comes in and gives them a little boost, because last week against Louisville, they should have won that game. There were so many chances for them to win that football game, and they just never could get it together. Their defense ain't the problem. Their offense is right now, it's just atrocious. Their defense.
Yeah, NC State's got a good defense.
Their defense is what's keeping them in football games. Their offense just can't move the ball or do the little things to win.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that 100%. I mean, they've been in every single game. They're staying in every game. They've gotten beat. It's not been by a monster amount or anything. So they just need to find some offense.
They just need to find a semblance of one.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. All right. So that's going to lead us to our pick 6 segment. I have a little video. I'm not even going to try to play it, so because every time I do, it kicks me off. But I don't know if you've got something playing, but I can hear it in the background.
TV's going. That's about it.
Is that you?
That's TV going, I think.
Okay. All right. So our first pick 6 topic, and do our top 6. All right. So to be with Texas and Oklahoma coming up this week, our top 6 college football rivalries, and kind of talk about some of the rivalries that we enjoy, maybe even about a rivalry that we might miss with all this realignment stuff.
Yeah. I think first the one that everybody's going to say is Ohio State and Michigan, because the game, it's number one, no matter, you can dissect it any way you want to. 2 would probably be Auburn and Alabama. That's probably the second best rivalry, to be honest. Then you got, I think you would have to just go with the Red River Shootout would be the third. I'm going to go a little different here. Harvard and Yale, I'm going to go fourth, because I feel like that's a big series in the Ivy League. It's always a big series. Fifth would be Army and Navy. I really like that series. They usually play every year around Christmas. It's every year around Christmas time. That's the big, because when I'm with family every single year, it's always playing on that day. So, and then
Yeah.
sixth. I'd probably put Tennessee and Florida. I mean, I know it ain't been a rivalry recently, but it's been one for a long time. But Tennessee, Florida is probably up in there with the top six for me, anyways. If you ask Tennessee fans if it's a rivalry, they'll probably tell you no, because they've not been with a big Florida as of recent. But it's still a big where they hate each other type thing. So.
Not too many people mention this one, but the Georgia-Auburn rivalry it's one of the oldest Old South rivalries in college football. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. Georgia and Auburn have played longer than any other SEC schools, even Auburn and Alabama, I'm pretty sure. It's one of the oldest rivalries in college football, and your top three that you mentioned, everybody's got to mention. I mean, Auburn, Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, and Texas, Oklahoma. Those three, I don't know how you not say them, as top rivalries. Depending on who you're a fan of, I think USC and Notre Dame's a pretty good rivalry. That you didn't mention.
Well, and you got Notre Dame, Stanford's probably another one. Notre Dame and Stanford is another rivalry that's pretty good over the years.
Yeah.
FSU, Miami, Kylie Hall says.
Yeah,
that's a pretty big.
Yeah,
one.
I would. Yeah, for college football, I would give you that. FSU, Florida is a big one too.
Well, I mean, if you look at it,
they're hated.
You can put a lot of these in the top 10. Everybody's going to have a different top 10. But if you're looking down through underrated rivalries, I would go Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Kentucky, Louisville, Ole Miss, LSU. I'm talking about underrated games, like underrated rivalries. You know what I mean? Like games that don't get a lot of pressure time or TV time. You got Texas with trying to think who it was in the Big 12.
I mean, Texas A&M used to be huge rivalry.
Texas and Baylor's a pretty good rivalry too, or had been recently.
Yeah. And with Texas moving into the SEC now, the Texas A&M rivalry is probably going to get a boost again, because it hadn't been happening for about 12. That's another rivalry. That's one that we can actually look forward to. That we haven't been getting for the last 12, 13 years, something like that. So just to kind of give you guys, it's kind of interesting. This week is one of the biggest rivalries. You got Texas and Oklahoma going at each other. And this will be the last time that they go at each other as members of the Big 12. Now, they will stay going, having that rivalry, but it'll be the last time that they will be members of the Big 12. So, they've had quite a few battles in the Big 12 over the last 30 years, or close to 30 years. All right. Our next pick six topic that we're going to move on to is I was going to ask John who he thinks his top 6 coaches in college football are. This is kind of inspired. Today, there was a list released of the top paid college football coaches. I'm going to have a little something at the end that I'm going to talk about with that. But there was a list of the top coaches' pay, and this was kind of inspired by that. So our next pick 6 segment, John, is your top 6 college football coaches. And go.
One is Nick Saban. He's the GOAT. You know, he's won 7 national championships. They've finished top 10 of the AP poll every year since 2008. To me, that's a testament to Saban's consistency and his dominance while he's been in.
You can't have a list without Saban, so I get it. Yeah.
2 would be Kirby Smart. You know, he won back-to-back national championships. And the only head coach to accomplish that feat this century, by the way, is the man above him, which is Nick Saban. So Nick Saban and Kirby Smart are the top 2, I think. 3, I'm telling you, Ryan Day to me is probably 3rd. You know, he hasn't lived up to the level that Urban Meyer has, but he's been to 3 playoff appearances in 4 years. That's pretty impressive as a coach. And he always has a really good defense, I think. His defense is always good. Last year, they was a field goal away from winning the national championship last year. So he's doing some good things at Ohio State, and I got to put him 3. 4, to me, is going to be Jim Harbaugh. You know, he's led Michigan to back-to-back Big Ten championships. They beat Ohio State twice in a row. I think the next step for me is Harbaugh needs to win him a championship. You know, he's got one of the best rosters in the country this year, and still at this time, we don't know really what Michigan's got to offer yet because they really haven't played anybody. But at the same time, they've been doing what they need to do to win. But he's still got one of the better rosters in the country. So we'll find out in a couple of weeks, few weeks, what Michigan's really got and see how they can do. 6, I mean, as much as it's been talked about all year, I think you got to put Dabo there. You know, the last 2 years for me, it hasn't been up to Clemson standards. You know, Clemson's finished in the top 10 of the AP poll for 7 straight years until 2021. And this is a year where that record might break. They might not be doing that this year. They're going to have, to me, Clemson's going to have to get back to the portal.
Why not?
You know, they're going to have to get back to where they need to be because Clemson fans are not going to put up with it. I'll just be frank about it. You know, they're going to have to fix all this. He's going to have, like I said earlier in the year, he's going to have to get with the times, get with the way college football is leaning and moving, and start, you know, dealing out NIL deals, dealing out things, because if he doesn't, he's going to get left behind in college football.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but when you start talking about the top coaches that is still current in the game, I mean, you got to start with Saban. I would put Kirby Smart second right now, just because Saban's done a whole lot more over a longer span. And then my 3rd would probably be Dabo Swinney. I mean, he's won 2 national titles, and I don't think there's anybody else current in the game that can say that.
Yeah, Or just agree to disagree.
And it's
on
two
this.
within the last 6 or 8 years. It's not like we're talking about 2 titles that he won in 1998 or something. I mean, these are 2 titles that he won. I mean, it's not been 4 or 5 years ago that he walloped Alabama in the title game.
I'm just.
I mean,
I don't know. We all have our opinions.
I remember it real well because I was in Alabama when that game went on, and I was around a bunch of Bama fans, and they were just stunned at the way Clemson beat them. And so I remember that real well. So that would be my first 3. There's some interesting ones around the country that I look at and that a lot of people probably don't look at. I think Kyle Whittingham at Utah is one heck of a coach. What he has done out there, a lot of people probably don't even realize that he is the one that followed Urban.
It was just like it was dragging. I couldn't even hear you.
Kyle Whittingham.
Your audio is really bad.
Is it?
Yeah, it's bad tonight, but we'll get through
it. We were talking the show and it was fine. I said Kyle Whittingham from Utah is what I said. Yeah, he followed Urban Meyer. A lot of people probably don't realize that.
He did.
I think he's a really, really good coach out there. Ryan Day, I would give him that. And I really like Lincoln Riley. I just don't like the way he coaches defense. All right, so that is our Pick Six segment. We'll move on to our No Fly Zone segment. And I'll go ahead and put this up on the screen for you, John. LSU, this is what is LSU the most questionable?
I can't hear a word you're saying.
So it's gotten that bad, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty bad tonight.
Okay, did that help?
Not much, but.
What are you looking for, bud? Over there and eat. Over there and eat. You want some treats?
And we lost him again.
What you lose? Brad?
Give it a minute. Brad will be back, hopefully. Waiting on Brad here. Back again.
I don't know what happened. Can you hear me better, though?
Yeah, a little bit.
I really don't know. Trying to get this thing to get up to speed so I can move the show along.
Yeah, it's been bad for 2 weeks.
Well, the last couple of shows hadn't been terrible, not like it was. All right, no fly zone is what I was trying to get to, guys.
Yeah. Let's see here.
So, my first topic on the no fly zone is LSU the most questionable SEC team? As of today, this week, week 6, is LSU the most questionable SEC team?
No. No, not to me. They're not. There's another one that
You don't think so?
There's another one that sits down.
All right, let's hear it. All right, let's hear it. Who is it?
Arkansas.
All right. LSU did beat Arkansas, but it was pretty darn close. If they would have had another minute or two, they might have beat them.
Arkansas just got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of internal stuff, and the coaches' wives are mailing with the fans, and it's just a bad situation right now.
Yeah, but LSU had some real high expectations.
They did.
And
the biggest thing with LSU is their defense is bad.
Where they're sitting, but that shouldn't be the case. I mean, they got Mason Smith, they got Harold Perkins. I mean, their defense.
Oh.
Okay, guys, apparently this thing is going to run like crap, so I'm not exactly sure what even happened to John. Apparently it kicked us both out, and I'm not exactly sure. So I was saying that LSU had a whole lot of high expectations, and they're not really living up to that. Their defense has been atrocious, and they should be a heck of a lot better on defense than what they are showing. They've given up 155 points in 5 games on defense. And last week at Ole Miss, I mean, in 2 minutes, they would just go down the field and score. They give up 21 points in the fourth quarter to get beat at Ole Miss last week when Alabama held Ole Miss to 10 points. So my question is I agree that, you got Vanderbilt and you got Arkansas and, you've got some other teams that might be a little more questionable than what LSU is as far as an overall team. But if you talk about the stature of what LSU expectations, what that was and where they are now, I think it's a fly about them being the most questionable team this week. My next topic, and like I said, guys, sorry if with Hammonds, I'm not exactly sure what's going on with stuff here tonight. It was running great, and then all of a sudden it wants to act up while we're in the middle of the show. So, does Oklahoma and Texas winner have an advantage entering into the SEC over the loser this week? That was going to be my next question to Hammonds tonight. It's possible that they play again down the road. So for me, I was going to say no fly on this one because, it's possible that they could play again in the Big 12 championship. And this one would just be the first showdown this year, basically. So, the way the Big 12 is looking right now, I think that it is highly possible that they will play again. I think that is definitely possible. So, but this is always a big game, Oklahoma and Texas. That's coming up this weekend. The SEC commissioner is going to be there, and the Big 12 commissioner is not. So,
That tells you.
it is a sign of what's going on. Do you think basically the winner this week has an advantage going into the SEC?
Not really. I think both of them's going at the same time. I just think it's neither one of them's really going to have an edge, whether they go in winners or losers. But this is a big game, I'll say, because, Texas loses, they're on the outside. Well, I wouldn't say they're on the outside looking in for a playoff berth, but they're still in the mix. But it's an even bigger game for Oklahoma, I think, because if Oklahoma wins, they get thrown right in the middle of it. And, Texas, I'm still not.
I think it's likely they might. I think they might meet up
I'm
again
not so
in the Big
sure
12
what to make of
championship game.
Texas yet.
So it's
But
possible.
the last couple of weeks, though, have really gave me an open eye on what Texas is really about. Was it last year they let Kansas hang around? This year they put them out of their misery. So it's a different attitude with this Texas football team.
It seems to be. I agree with that. Oklahoma is playing much, much, much improved.
And their defense is a lot better. And their defense
last year.
Better.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but I do think that there is a great chance that these two teams could match up again in the Big 12 championship this year. Mm-hmm. So, I don't really say that this game is the end all. So I'm going to say no fly on this one.
No fly, yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then my next topic for the no-fly zone is Missouri. Is Missouri a real SEC East contender? Do you really think 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, are we talking that, Missouri has a shot of winning the SEC East?
Possibility, but their schedule is going to get a lot tougher. they play at home. They play at home this week against LSU, and then they travel, I think, to Kentucky, and I'm not sure who they play after that, but the schedule is going to be a meat grinder. And if Missouri is going to be a real contender in the SEC East, they're going to have to – I feel like they got to win this weekend against LSU. The Kentucky game is going to be a real fun game too. But, we got a hypothetical here. Say, for instance, Kentucky beats Georgia Saturday, and then you have Missouri beat LSU. Then you got 2 6-0 teams going at it in Lexington next week. And I'm thinking, some of these networks might lose their absolute mind. ESPN might not know what to do. They might go crazy thinking, well, you know what? We might need to have college game day in Lexington because Missouri and Kentucky is undefeated. I think it'll be good for college football. And I'll tell you, I'm all about chaos. I like to see chaos in college football. I like to see problems, issues happen, craziness happen. And
I don't know. I'm about to give up on it. I don't even understand. Like, it's not even showing anything. I don't know.
Well, I kept the room moving with the Missouri thing. I think this is a no-fly yet. Now, if they beat LSU Saturday, then there's a real possibility because you got Kentucky. Say Kentucky upsets Georgia, you got 2 6-0 teams in Lexington next week, and the networks might lose their absolute freaking mind.
Yeah.
Might lose their mind, everybody. Might lose their mind.
Yeah, I mean, this is true.
So, but you can't look ahead. You can't really look ahead to the next week. You got to play what's in front of you. And Kentucky and LSU have to play who they have to play right now. So, this is a no-fly for me. I think Missouri is there, but I think they need to the only crucial win that they really got is Kansas State. That's my opinion, though. But
right.
So
I mean,
no,
I agree with you on this. I think if they beat LSU this week, then we can have a real conversation because Kentucky's next.
Yeah.
And we can have a real conversation about it probably. All right, USC. I know about you. They're not a title contender with this defense, right?
No, they was up 41-21 I think it was in the third quarter, fourth quarter. And at one point it was 34-14 USC. And Colorado reeled off 41 points, and USC had 48. And Shadir Sanders had a really big day Saturday. He played out of his mind. He was throwing dimes all across the field. If Colorado had at least of a semblance of a defense, they would have won Saturday.
I mean, I agree 100%.
And I don't think an Alex Grinch
defense. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, man. This defense is – I don't see how in the world that they could actually make even a deep run, even make the Pac-12 championship game with this defense. I just don't see it.
It's atrocious. And everybody knows how Alex Grinch runs his defense. And it wasn't good. It wasn't good at Oklahoma. I think there was a year where he was at Ohio State, I think. He was at Ohio State one year. It wasn't good there. Riley's going to have to dig down and find him a defensive coordinator because what's working, what they want to work is not working. And this will not work against really good teams. A good team that has a defense will shut Caleb Williams down, and the defense will have to make plays. And right now, I just don't see that happening. The defense ain't got it.
For sure, for me, this is a fly. I just don't see it with the defense.
What makes it so tough is they went through the transfer portal and went crazy on the defense, and it's still in the same shape that it was in last year.
I know. They picked up a ton of good, of good recruits and stuff in the transfer portal, and it's just not looking. I'm not so sure that it doesn't look just as bad or worse than last year.
It does.
Like it really
and to be fair,
concerning. If I was Riley,
to be
and
fair
Caleb
though, some
Williams,
of those games
I
that
would
they
be
played
concerned.
Arizona State and San Jose State games, they had some guys in mop up duty, but still it shouldn't get to a point to where you're having to put up that much yardage on a team consistently every single night and make your defense look bad. So
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. So my last no-fly zone topic tonight is on Penn State, talking about some contenders. Is can they hold up against Michigan and or Ohio State? Basically,
I think it's a possibility. Drew Aller, he's a really good quarterback. The one thing Penn State has this year that they haven't really had in the past is a quarterback. Last year they had very average quarterback play, and they had a really good defense. This year they got really good defense and a really good quarterback. And what they did to Iowa, I think it was couple weeks ago.
a couple of weeks ago, 31-0.
And normally that's a really tight game, and Penn State had it over by halftime. And listen, everybody wants to jump on Franklin and what he does and how he does things, but Franklin is probably one of the most underrated coaches in the country when it comes to coaching and fielding a team. Look what he did at Vanderbilt. He took a Vanderbilt team that was in the Dust Bowl, and he brought them out and had took them to a 5-0 start the year one year. He had them playing good football. I think that was the last time they went to a bowl game, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, it might have been after that.
I think Derek Mason took them to a bowl game or two.
Yeah, he took them to a bowl. But I mean, he had them close to SEC level type playing. And
yeah, they were
doing
for a couple of years.
When you get to Penn State, you got to go up a notch. And I think he's done that, especially with the quarterback play.
Well, I mean, everybody gives Franklin a bunch of crap over, Michigan and Ohio State. But let's be honest. Let's be honest.
To be fair, Mr. Farley,
coaches and how many coaches could go into the Big Ten and just manhandle Michigan and Ohio State? I mean, come on.
Ain't many.
Let's be real here.
To be fair,
I mean,
Mr. Fuss, to be fair, Ohio State and Michigan are the kings of the Big Ten until somebody knocks them down.
And how many people could just walk into the Big Ten, even at a school like Penn State, and just, manhandle them anytime they want to? I mean, I think James Franklin, when Franklin left Vanderbilt, I wasn't sure that he was a great enough coach and recruiter to even make it at Penn State. And I'm going to be honest.
And he's recruiting at a pretty high level at Penn State. And if he can do that at Vanderbilt,
he's done a really great job.
If he can do that at Vanderbilt, he can do that anywhere, because Vanderbilt is the holes of the holes. And that's no disrespect to Vanderbilt. I mean, Vanderbilt's – and the thing about – I tell people all the time about Vanderbilt, you have to recruit different because of academics. You have to recruit a different kind of way. You can't just recruit guys that, you have to do things differently. But, yes, it is a fly.
100%.
Penn State is a Big Ten championship contender this year because, one, they're a quarterback. And they got a defense, which they had a
I
defense
think so
last
too.
year.
I really am.
But last year they
Yes.
just didn't have good quarterback play,
Yeah.
and that's what hurt.
I really am on board that I think that they can challenge.
We'll find out too. It's pretty quick. They're getting ready to play them pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they can knock them both off.
But one of them, possibility.
Could they knock one of them off this year and maybe have a 3-way tie across the top? I mean, I think that's possible.
It is.
That's where I'm at. So if they could do that and make it a 3-way tie, then for me, that's being a contender against Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Trying to get through this show and been having a few issues and a few problems. I'm not exactly sure. But
eventually works itself out.
We've pretty much made it through the end. And at the end here, my final buzzer tonight was on the list that I was talking about for the top. Mark Stoops is the 8th highest paid college football coach in 2023 in the entire country, y'all. Country. Okay? And here's what I want to go on, and here's what I want to say. It's time for you guys to give Kentucky some love and to realize that the money that Kentucky is sinking in and the investment that they are doing into football, while all of this power, financial cement, and
I think you got to look at it. He's doing a really good job recruiting. He's bringing in talent. Next year's class, I think, is ranked 25th. I think you got to look at it from an investment PowerPoint that, he took the 2 kids, the Smith brothers from Corbin. He brought them to Lexington. They decommitted from Michigan. There's an opportunity tomorrow night, which there's another possibility Kentucky has another recruit tomorrow night. Brian Robinson, he's an edge rusher out of Ohio. He's supposed to pick Kentucky. That's the word right now. There's a couple other guys, that come to the football game Saturday. Stone Saunders. He's a big quarterback for, I think, 23 or 24, 25, something like that. Then they got a wide receiver on Stone's team that is committed to the University of Alabama, and they're trying to flip him to the University of Kentucky. So I think Kentucky, like I said, it's time to take investment. Kentucky's probably got the most talented team on their roster today than they've had in over 40-something years. And they have enough talent to challenge Georgia, I think, this weekend.
I'm just saying this. If you look at this list, you got Saban and you got Clemson and you with Dabo and you got Kirby Smart and you've got, the top college football coaches and programs in the country. And sitting at number 8 is the University of Kentucky. This is the first year, 2023 will be the first year ever that Kentucky is paying their football coach more than their basketball coach.
That's pretty intense, isn't it?
Okay? Ever. So Kentucky is paying attention to the power surge that's happened in college football over college basketball. 20 years ago, college basketball made more money than college football. That's not the case.
And like I said, they got the 2, and NIL has a lot to do with this because, they got the 2 twins from Michigan that they decommitted, and then you got B-Rob that will most likely commit tomorrow night, which will add to their class.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yep. And we're working on a flip from Alabama, a
Yeah,
wide receiver
come
right
on
this
now.
minute.
Kentucky starts
I'm just
getting
saying,
Alabama.
if your
Kentucky
head
starts getting Alabama.
is still in the sand and thinks that Kentucky football is the same as it was 10, 15 years ago, you got your head buried in the sand
You do. That's a fact.
just like an ostrich. And
Yeah.
I'm not even playing.
Listen, if you
I'm
start
not
flipping,
even playing. It's time for you to wake up. It's time for you to wake up and realize that Kentucky is invested.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Hammond.
no, what I was just going to say, Alabama, you start pulling commits from Alabama, then boy, oh boy, it's going to get a lot. It's going to get dicey up in Lexington. The dicey get hot, as they say.
I'm not saying he's coming for sure, but they're working on one. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's coming for sure. But we definitely they're working on one because they have the high school quarterback to go with it, and they're working on one. He's a top 250 kid, and we'll see what happens. But if you are not paying attention and thinks that Kentucky football is the laughing stock and it's just Kentucky, if you're still there, you got your head in the sand.
Yeah.
Because Kentucky has invested in facilities, in practice field, in their coaches, in their recruiting efforts, everything. $200+ $250 over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And now they're up in the ante and paying their coach the 8th most money in the entire country. Go Cats. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Yeah.
Final buzzer tonight. I appreciate you guys joining us. Sorry about some of these issues that I've had. So I don't know. It was running fine. And then all of a sudden, after about 20, 30 minutes in, it seemed to have an issue and kept going. So I'm not sure what happened. But next show is Thursday night. It'll be our game day pick'em show. I'm not sure if Hammonds will be here, but if you're not Hammonds, I'll give you the list. You can give me your picks, and I'll tell the picks out. Maybe me and Taylor will tell yours along the way.
I'll give them to you. I'll give you my picks.
Yeah. Okay, that'll be Thursday night at 8 p.m. That's our game day pick'em show, and we look forward to seeing you guys Thursday night.
Now, Coleman Scott, get it together, buddy.
Coleman and Caden and Josh and Clyde are all on here. I appreciate you guys stopping in and stopping by. I'm trying to get this to come up so I can end this thing, but this thing's just not running right tonight.